You did everything right. Clean code, perfect execution, zero bugs. And yet, it was a failure. So here's the real question. What actually changed because of what you built? Because if the answer is hardly anything, then you did not create impact. You just created motion. And that difference, that's where most engineering teams go wrong. They focus so much on what they build, they forget to ask what it changed. And the shift is simple. You stop measuring only what you did and start measuring real world impact. So picture this scenario. A team builds a brand new analytics panel, and technically it's a masterpiece. It runs fast, the data is spot on, and it aced every single quality check by all the engineering metrics we love. But here is the reality check. 3 months down the line, almost nobody is using it. Users are still exporting data to their old familiar spreadsheets. And even worse, they are complaining that the new metrics don't even make sense. The feature works for sure, but the system, the actual workflow for the user has not improved one bit. And that really gets to the core of the whole problem. It's about distinguishing between activity and true impact. It's often not the work itself that's the real issue. It's what we choose to measure. We tend to get obsessed with outputs. The features released, the tickets closed, the API calls processed. They measure our effort. But what we should really be focused on are the outcomes, the effect we have on the world. Did we change user behavior? Did we reduce friction? Did we help people make decisions faster? That is the important stuff. Here is a perfect example. An e-commerce company launches a new express checkout feature. The whole point is to make buying stuff faster and easier. Now, from an engineering perspective, they did a fantastic job. The API success rate was near perfect, latency way down, and the system rock solid. All the internal dashboards just glowing green. But then the business report comes out, and whoops, the conversion rate decreased by 6%, and cart abandonment has increased 16%. All that amazing technical success, it led directly to a business failure. So, what on earth happened in the rush to make the checkout faster? See, in the hurry to make things faster, the team hid some important details like shipping costs and tax breakdowns until the very last second. As a result, technically it was faster, but for a real person trying to buy something, it was way less reassuring. They measured the system's performance, but they completely forgot about the customer's trust and confidence. And this brings up another really critical question when we say something is a success. Whose success are we actually talking about? Because the word success means something different for everyone. Let's take a look at a regulatory change to a financial system. If you think about it, you have got at least three major groups involved here. You have the compliance team, then you have the operators who use the system every day, and of course, the end customers. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The team adds a few stricter validation rules to meet the new compliance requirements. This is a huge win. Less risk, and the compliance team is very happy. But for the operators, it's a total nightmare because of the new manual steps it adds. And for the customers, it's just more confusing error messages and a lot of friction. One change, three totally different results. So, a change can only really be successful if you understand its total impact. And this quote, it just says it all. True ownership means you have to ask who is paying the price for this so called improvement. This brings us to a really difficult problem. A system can look perfectly healthy on the surface while it's actually rotting from the inside. Let's call this the danger of the all green dashboard. So we have a software and it has gone one full year without a single major outage. All the top level KPIs are green. This system is the absolute model of stability. But is it really? Let's peek under the hood for a second. Turns out, incident recovery time has more than quadrupled. Deployments are now this complex manual mess. There is a single point of failure in one engineer's head, and the code base is an entangled web. The system is still working, sure, but it's becoming incredibly fragile and risky. This is not a stable system, although it looks perfect. So, how do we avoid falling into this trap? Well, the key is to shift our focus. We need data that doesn't just report on the past, but actively demands action for the future. Take a look at this. This is a very typical product dashboard. It's full of data. But if your average session duration drops, what do you do? If the number of clicks go up, is that good or bad? You don't know because this dashboard just describes activity. It doesn't give you any direction at all. Now compare it with this dashboard. This one is designed for action. It tracks the entire user journey and it's built to expose friction points. We are not just seeing completion rates. We are seeing drop-offs at each specific step. How long does it take for a user to get value? And whether they even bother to come back. And here's the magic. If you see that 45% of your users are dropping off at step 2 of onboarding, your next action is completely obvious. You don't need a 3-hour meeting or a complex analysis to know where to focus your effort. Good metrics make the next step crystal clear. So let's bring all of this together. If there is one fundamental shift we need to make, it's moving away from measuring mere motion and moving towards measuring actual meaningful progress. You know, the features, the tickets, the pull requests, that's all just motion. It is necessary, but it isn't the goal. The goal is impact. The goal is creating a positive change in the world for your users. And so, I will leave you with this one question to take back to your own teams and your own projects. I want you to look beyond the activity, beyond the outputs, and just ask yourself, what is your work really changing?